sever some ties. For far too long, we've held on to that which has latched onto us, that God has already called us from. It's time to sever some ties. Actually, we're using the text from Luke 9, verse 62, where Jesus said, "And Jesus said unto them, No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God." We must resolve to go on from anyone or anything that would keep us from our purpose in God. Jesus in this text calls us from that which we are used to, accustomed to, and that which takes away our attention from Him. Many of us are so distracted from that which would keep us in the center of God's purpose, in the things of God. It is exceptionally hard to hold on to the things of this world and to maintain a firm grip on the things of God. Jesus is calling us away from many things that should firmly be in our rearview mirrors in this text. He lets us know in this text that discipleship costs, and that discipleship does not look back to reconsider or operate by delayed response. He lets us know that our calling from above is an urgent matter, and he lets us know that we as believers must maintain a firm resolve to go on. The pull of this world holds so many of us back because our inability to walk away from some things. It keeps us from success so often. Our inability to walk away from things keeps us away from so much success because faith always requires that you will walk away from some things. What we can't let go of, we have given power to. We give power to whenever we can't let go of some things. And many of the monsters in each of our individual lives are those of our own creation, because we are so reluctant to sever many of our ties with the world. We need to sever some of these ties and let some of them go so we can dissolve their power over us. We often can't let go of that which has been so painful for us. It's time for us to sever some ties. We can't carry everything and everyone into our own tomorrows. That's tough when sometimes we love someone and we love some things so much, because we will keep going after it even after it's become quite painful for us. It's time for us to sever some ties. When we hold on so tight to what we've known, we will often miss the many fresh things that God is sending our way. God's got way more for us than that which we are desperately holding on to. Our grasping of what was is impeding our attempts to catch a hold of what will be. It is time for us to sever some ties. It's time for us to turn our backs on that which God has already called us away from. Faith cuts ties. I want to say that one more time. Faith cuts ties. Faith severs some ties. While doubt will make us hold on to the wrong things for much too long. We must remember Lot's wife, who had it made as long as she moved towards new ground. But when she turned to reach for those old ties, she was consumed. Many of us are just like her because we have a problem with abandoning that which is behind us. I've been on a 10-year bad trip trying to hold on to some folks who didn't want to ride with me anyway. But I discovered that this vehicle called life has brakes. Every now and then we all need to pump our brakes and let other things and others move on. The vehicle called you was never intended to make every pit stop. We must keep moving on. I just got a release the other night from something that's been 10 years coming. Something that's been 10 years coming. No matter how much you may have loved a person, place, or thing, when God calls you away from it, you have to let it go. Holding on to fond memories isn't a sin, but it can become a burden once we decide to keep trying to make the old permanent. If it's dead, stop trying to dig it up. Stop trying to resurrect every relationship. There comes a time that if you truly want to become great, that you will need to sever some ties. Many of us have so much that sticks close to us that we can't see its flaws. Some will get so close that you can't see their flaws. We need to step back, focus, and then we'll see them for real. A believer must sever him or herself from so many worldly concerns. It's not an actual return to the world that we need freedom from, but it's our reluctance to break from the world that we need to be freed from. It's time to sever some ties. It's hard to move on with God and maintain a firm grip on the affairs of the world. We can't regret our past relationships with the world so much. Regret limits so many of us in this manner so often. One Bible commentator said that religion must be our everything or nothing at all. He went on to say that he that isn't willing to sacrifice everything for the cause of God is really ready to sacrifice nothing. We can't serve God and mammon. Throughout the Holy Writ, God has called men and women from that which they were tied to. Abraham was called from his own house and land to move out with nothing but a suitcase and a promise to head towards his purpose. Faith always calls one out of the security of what one knows. It's hard to find overwhelming success in all of the same places. We're expecting different results while we're staying in the same old places. It's time to sever some ties. And in our particular text in this day, Jesus, in the midst of this text, in St. Luke 9, verse 57, and it came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said unto them, Lord, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. That's the easy things that comes off of the lips of so many people. We all say what we would do for Christ, or what we would have done if Christ had been here. And I'm telling you that this is not a life that I hear Langston Hughes that when he said life isn't a crystal stair. This kingdom life is not a crystal stair. And so many make so many promises, but actually walking out the things of God won't be the easiest thing that you've ever done. Verse 58, and Jesus said unto him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man have not where to lay his head. And he said unto another, Follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Jesus said, Let the dead bury the dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of God. This is Jesus letting us know what should be on the top of our calendars, what should be on the top of our daytimers, that moving in the things of God should be our first and foremost priority. Jesus is severing the ties in this text from those that were stuck to the ways of the world. In verse 61, he said, and another